Welcome to Season 12, Episode 17. Hey, Strategy Simplified, J5th here, and I can't believe that we're almost in Season 13 of the podcast. What a wild ride it's been. Thank you for being on the journey. All right, enough of my babbling. Let's get into this podcast. Today, we're bringing you a BCG case interview demonstration. The case features a solar developer looking for a regional expansion strategy. They want to grow, they want to expand. And the candidate who's solving the case today is on the hot seat. This was actually conducted in front of a live audience, which you can check out the link in the show notes to register for an upcoming live case or other event. We do about one each month. So the candidate is going to look at all the factors to figure out what's the most profitable region to expand to. There's an exhibit, there's math, there's brainstorming, there's recommendations, risks, and next steps. Everything you want in a good consulting case interview. Grab a pencil and paper, follow along, and we hope you enjoy.
Aren't you ready to go ahead and just dive in, see what we got?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, perfect. So the case today, your client is Solar City. They build solar farms near the West Coast in the United States. The company is looking to expand within the US, but has not identified a specific region to move into yet. Your team has been brought in by the CEO to develop a regional expansion strategy for the company.
Okay. Sounds amazing. So, yeah, I'm a big believer in renewable energy and solar tech. So excited to solve this case. And just to make sure I got everything, you said our client makes solar farms on the West Coast in the US. And basically, they're looking to expand within the US, but are not sure about the region. So we have been brought in to develop a regional expansion plan. And let's narrow it down to like maybe one region, or is it a couple? How many regions are we talking here?
Yeah, I think they're open to expansion across different regions. I think for the point of this case, we're probably going to look at whatever region is most favorable and focus on a single one for the time being.
Okay, sounds good. So, yeah, and just in terms of the criteria that we're looking at for the region, is there anything specific I should be aware of that the client has in mind regarding narrowing it down?
Yeah, we want it to make sense from a lot of different angles. It's got to be feasible for the company overall, but I think the big goal here is that we want to invest in a project that breaks even within the first 5 years of operation.
Okay, sounds good. So break even within the first 5 years. And other than that, there's no specific goals that we're looking at here, just break even within the first 5 years.
Yeah, we want to generally grow the business, but that's kind of our big criteria that we're looking at to decide whether or not we move forward.
Awesome. Yeah, just a couple more questions here. I'd love to know about just their business model. So how is it that they make revenues? Like who pays us exactly? I'm assuming they're actually not sure about how a company like this, their revenue stream. So would love to learn a little more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So Solar City buys plots of lands that have favorable sun exposure. Once purchased, they do the initial construction of the solar farm and all the supporting infrastructure that's needed. And then other companies are going to actually pay fees to come in and perform or to store and sell the energy that's produced by those farms. Okay, sounds great. So so what I'm looking at here is the initial sort of investment of buying a plot of land with abundant sun, and then building the entire solar panels, and then the revenue that we make is sort of per company. So they basically use that energy and sell it. You said, so we sell the energy that the solar panels produce to companies. Is that correct? I would kind of think about it as them almost like licensing the use of the solar panels. So we're going to go up and we're going to go set it up, but we aren't the actual providers of the energy. So we're going to kind of sell that off for them to use and store and sell as they see fit. We're really just maintaining the solar farm itself.
Okay. And sorry, I thought you got cut off a little bit towards the end. You said we license the use, and what did you say after that?
Essentially, just think about it as they're paying a fee to use our solar panels. So that might be on a specific number of the solar panels. So yeah, that's kind of how the business model is going to work here.
Okay, sounds great. And yeah, that helps a lot with context. And typically, is it a lot of companies that use one plot of land? Is it one? Is it multiple? Or is that something that's maybe not relevant before I sort of dive into creating an approach?
Yeah, the company's seen a little bit of both. I don't think it's going to be super relevant for this.
Awesome.
We really just want to see where we can, make the return that we're looking for, as well as have a good market.
Okay. And then before I just one last thing before I come up with sort of a structured approach, I just want to know is, again, about any specific criteria. So in terms of the size or in terms of like the abundance of sunlight, is there a particular metric that we're looking at here, or is just like abundant sunlight is sort of the main criteria, and that's really about it? And
that's really it. Nothing specific. We just want to make sure that whatever region we choose is going to fit that.
Awesome. Sounds great. Okay, then if it's okay with you, I'll just take maybe a few minutes to come up with a structure and be back with you with an answer.
All right. Sounds great.
Hey, Strategy Simplified. Japheth here. Really quickly wanted to share about our upcoming Strategy Sprint consulting project happening in January 2024. What is it? First of all, it's a virtual US-based consulting project where you crush a strategic problem for a real-world client in a team of 6. This program is especially transformative for experienced professionals needing a refreshed work experience to cover a skills or experience gap, international students needing US-based work experience, or non-business majors like liberal arts or advanced degrees who need business or consulting specific work experience. Strategy Sprint will help your resume stand out from the crowd. There are just a few spots left for the January Strategy Sprint. Check out the link in the show notes to learn more and to join. All right, let's get back to the episode.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for the time there. And excited to dive in here. So when thinking about, creating a regional plan for our clients with a goal of breaking even in 5 years, I've divided my thoughts into sort of 3 buckets. The first is just narrowing down on the criteria. And the second would be a plan to break even within 5 years. And the third is just the value of the land itself that we decide to purchase. So in terms of the first criteria, of course, I want to look at, as you mentioned, regions that have abundant sunlight, and then the number of clients in that region. And then also the main thing here would be sort of being able to maximize the utilization rate of our solar panels there. So just making sure that we have enough clients that we would be able to use sort of the most amount of solar panels for the longest duration. I think that would maximize the revenue that we could make on an ongoing basis and push us towards our goal of breaking even in 5 years. And then the next bucket is just regarding how to break even in 5 years. And so I know that we would have, as you mentioned, very high initial costs of setting this up. So the one-time cost of buying the land as well as setting up the solar panels. And then I'm assuming there are some variable costs in operating this and providing the service to our clients. So they're really just narrowing those down and quantifying those. And then the revenue that we make as well. So it would be a function of how many clients we have who take this service and the licensing fee and then the time that it is used for. And that would sort of help us quantify that as well and calculate the break even and see if it's possible to do so within 5 years. And the last thing is just the value of the land itself. I'm not sure if how long or sustainable this is, but I'm assuming according to the business model, maybe the client ends up selling the land. I know land typically tends to go up in value, but just I think that is also something important to consider from a profitability perspective as well. And if you don't mind, I'd just like to start off by looking at this at the various options we have in terms of regions and sort of narrowing it down according to the criteria that I mentioned.
We'll be right back after this quick break.
Have you ever heard a new digital trend and thought to yourself, okay, does this really matter? Asking the right questions helps you cut through the noise and get down to what matters most. I'm Jim Hertzfeld, host of the What If, So What podcast, where we discover what's possible with digital and figure out how to make it real by asking what if, so what, and most importantly, now what? Subscribe and listen, and together we can turn big ideas into tangible actions so you can get shit done.
Yeah, we've got some information around that. Give me just 1 second, and I will go ahead and share that with you. All right, so let me know if this. Well, let me know when you can see this, and if you can, what insights this might give you.
Yeah, I can see it now. Let me just take a quick moment to absorb this information. So we have the three regions and the total annual demand, the available market share, okay, and then capital expenditure required. Yeah, so here we can see the three regions are the Southeast, the Midwest, and the Northeast. We have numbers in terms of the total annual demand, the available market share, and capital expenditure required. So this would sort of help me narrow down the regions. Maybe is the goal of the exercise to narrow it down to the best one out of the three?
Yeah. Let's try to kind of understand what financials might look like in each, and then determine which one has the kind of brightest financial outlook.
Sounds good. So I'm just going to. So the available market share is 20%. So that tells me that we're obviously not going to be able to capture the entire available market share in the first year. Maybe we can a little bit in the first year, and then it increases. So do we have more information about our potential to be able to capture some of that market share, or should I maybe make some assumptions, or just go based off of what we have here for now?
Yeah, so I very much understand where you're coming from with the idea of capturing a market share like that in a year. It seems pretty unlikely. This is kind of an interesting industry, though.
Yeah.
We do think that there's market share out there that's very in demand, and so we think that SolarCity is going to be able to attain all of the available market share within year one in any region that it goes to.
Okay, sounds great. Then what I'll do is I will just calculate. I will multiply the total annual demand by the available market share, and that will sort of help us understand which region is looking more prosperous, and also then comparing that to the one-time cost and seeing how, and then obviously we haven't factored in the variable costs yet, but this will help us gauge sort of where to go from here. So talking about the Southeast, we have 20% of the 350 million, which comes to 70 million. For the Midwest, we have 15% of the 150 million, which is 22.5 million. And then for the Northeast, we have 75 million, which is the 30% of the 250 million. So clearly the Northeast has the highest potential here in terms of the available market share, and we think we can capture it all. And I actually agree with you. Yeah, the solar panel energy, solar industry, I'm assuming there's not a lot of players in there. So if there is more demand for it, we should be able to capture it. And then in terms of comparing the annual demand to the capital expenditure required, again, the Northeast seems to have $75 million worth of available market share and lower sort of capital expenditure compared to the Southeast, which is number 2 here in terms of available market share. So I'm leaning towards the Northeast here, since it would, going off of the fixed cost, not incorporating the variable cost, the Northeast would help us sort of break even in 4 years, assuming the market share stays the same and the conditions stay the same. So that would be the 75 million times 4. So that sort of fulfills our criteria, but I'd love to sort of dive deeper into any other information that we might have, as well as the variable costs of operating in these regions.
Yeah, so this is a bit of an interesting industry. The way that the fees are charged, we pretty much take care of all of our variable costs. They're all brought on to the customer that's paying for this. So, once you get past that initial capital expenditure requirement, you really start making a lot of money. Focusing on this information that we have here, could you maybe put some numbers around our goal for this case as far as the time frame we were looking at?
Yeah, okay. Just going off of these numbers, then I can calculate the break evens for all the regions. If you want me to do that. So comparing the 70. So what I'll do here is sort of take like a payback period type of calculation. So capital expenditure. We have the 400 million in the southeast, and 20% of the 350 is 70 million. So that would be 49, 25. Yeah, I'm just dividing these numbers to come up with how long it would take to recoup that capital expenditure. And for Southeast, it's coming out to be around 5.7 years, which is above the 5-year break-even that we have for our client. For the Midwest, I'm going to do a similar calculation. So that would be just doing some long division here. Bear with me. Yeah, that seems actually quite long. It's almost, yeah. I'm inclining towards not even considering the Midwest at this point, since it's quite long. And with the North, yeah, and with the Northeast, it's actually 75, 350. So that would be, yeah, that's actually looking quite attractive. Again, let me just calculate the exact figure here, but it's under 5 years. So it's like 4.6 years, which is under the 5-year criteria that we have for our client. So yeah, again, confirming my hypothesis, I'm leaning towards the Northeast as the most attractive region, given the criteria that we have of the break even within 5 years.
Awesome. I think that's definitely right based on the info that we've been given so far. When making kind of these larger, movements for a business like this, especially considering their first growth opportunity, I think it's also pretty important to consider some non-financial factors. So what non-financial factors should Solar City consider when looking into the feasibility of expanding into these different regions?
Yeah. Is it okay if I take a couple of moments to brainstorm some thoughts here, or would you like me to go on the fly?
If you need a couple seconds to get set, let's do that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey MBAs, we're putting on a special case prep cohort just for you this December 2023. That's right. Join our Black Belt program, link in the show notes, to be a part of this exclusive cohort. We're going to deliver a group training specific for where you're at in the case prep process. So join, check out, learn more about Black Belt, link in the show notes. We'd love to have you join for this MBA case prep cohort. All right, back to the show.
And just to make sure, when we say non-financial, we mean sort of like what exactly are we talking about here? Like in terms of non-financial criteria that would like the ethical sort of like trying to do good is, for example, or for our company.
Yeah, I think maybe, if you were in the place of the CEO of this company and you were thinking about, I've got this figure in mind of the payback period, and that is, our number one criteria. If you were trying to think, okay, what maybe am I not thinking about right now that could be an issue down the road? What kind of things would you recommend the CEO thinking through? That could be, kind of a ethical sustainability side of things, or operational. I think there are a lot of different ways you can go. Just want you to maybe, let me know what you think would be kind of the most important areas.
Right. Okay. Just be back with you in a couple of moments then.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, something that already jumps out a little bit is we're still sort of in that phase of transitioning towards renewable energy. And so a quick payback period for something like this seems like, definitely seems like something is missing here. And solar energy sort of looks like a more longer term type of avenue. So maybe even if we can break even quicker in a particular region, are we considering growth in terms of 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? Could be possible that there's significant growth
after the payback period that we're looking at, and I think that is more important given the longevity of this type of industry. So that is something that we should consider as well. And then also, since we are promoting solar energy, are we making sure that the net result of that is a positive? Maybe building the solar energy actually leads to some sort of some sort of harm to the environment. So just making sure that even though we are breaking even in terms of the financials, we're actually fulfilling our goal of also doing good in the world and promoting ethical and sustainable practices as well. Those are two things that come to mind.
Yeah, I think those are both great. So we've actually got Solar City's CEO coming in for a meeting this afternoon. They're really excited about this growth opportunity and wanting to, kind of decide where to make this move as quickly as possible. Could you give me a quick rundown of what I should walk the CEO through when we have that meeting?
Sure, yeah. So to the CEO, I would say that they came to us to narrow down a region to expand to for their solar energy plant. And with the criteria of breaking even as soon as possible, we would go forward with the Northeast region, since that would enable us to break even in 4.6 years, which is under the 5-year limit, and seems attractive from a financial standpoint. However, again, there are some other things to consider here, such as the long-term growth, if financials are a concern, as well as just making sure that the net result of moving to any of these regions is good. So in terms of any risks, we would still want to do further due diligence into making sure that the numbers we've calculated will actually come to fruition, as well as making sure that our goals, our non-financial goals of doing good in the world are fulfilled as well. And so in terms of next steps, I would just suggest looking further into the Northeast region and really making sure that is the right call for the time being. There.
Awesome. Sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you for your help today.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. That was great.
How'd it feel?
Yeah, it felt. Well, first of all, the nerves got to me a little bit because of being with in front of an audience. But other than that, I think it was okay. It's definitely short and sweet, which I like. I was expecting it to be a little longer. I could have done better in definitely in my recommendation and in the. I felt like I missed something in the brainstorm right now. I'm not sure what it is, but yeah, I could have definitely come up with more options there and just being more confident. I think it was the nerves. But yeah, overall, I think it was okay. What do you think?
Hey, you are more brave than I am to go out and framework and brainstorm in front of people. So yeah. I thought it was awesome, man. I thought it was a really good case. We'll talk a little bit about the brainstorm. I think you came up with some really good ideas. I think I'll talk through kind of how I structure brainstorms, and that might help a little bit. And then, yeah, the shortness of the case is interesting because I kind of thought the same thing with both of my interviews last year for Boston Consulting Group. I thought it was a little bit shorter than I expected, but it's really like the quality of your answers and those short time frames that you get that I think can make a difference. And I thought you did really well with the time you had. Some things I thought you did really, really well at. That exhibit is pretty confusing at times. I think you did a really good job of, one, clearing the exhibit, so making sure that you understood exactly what was on the page. There was a footnote at the bottom saying that we would get all of the market share in year one, but I
didn't see it. It would be good if you,
maybe I missed it. Yeah. It'd be good if you caught it, but at the same time, I do think it's very logical for you to be questioning whether it's actually possible for a company like this to go and get all the market share in year one. So because you thought about that in a reasonable way, I don't really I don't really give you negative points there for missing the footnote. Your math was dead on. I wouldn't do long division in a case if I, absolutely had to. So I respect you for getting to that. I would normally say to round a little bit more, but it seems like the math is a skill for you. And so if you want to flex that skill a little bit, and you're already doing well in the exhibit, you feel confident where you are, go ahead and flex that skill. I think that's an awesome thing to do. I don't have the exact numbers on all the payback periods. My math was slightly different. I kind of did more of a profit based, but with just the payback period for the final, but like that was perfect. So awesome job on that. I also think your framework was really creative, and the way you said it, when you first like laid out the buckets, I was like, I don't really know where this is going or what's going to fall in each of them, but I think you did a good job of kind of uniquely morphing the buckets and to fit this case specifically. Even though like some of the stuff you hit on, like your criteria bucket kind of felt like a market bucket to me. The plan bucket felt a little bit more financial, and then value was kind of like, okay, what are our exit opportunities here if we do make this investment? So I really like how you kind of like hid that behind that. It made me like, was like, oh, this could be really good or really bad. And it turned out to be really good. So awesome job there. Yeah, the one thing I thought you did a good job on, like I like the net positive aspect of the brainstorm. I think the thing I always try to do at the beginning of those is to kind of break it into two categories typically. Sometimes that's financial, non-financial. This case obviously makes that a little difficult. Sometimes it's internal, external. I think what I would have gone with here is maybe like short-term, long-term. And I think you kind of were getting to that, but I think if you really lay it out right away, give yourself those two buckets, it kind of like, I don't know what it is in your brain, but it just kind of makes ideas flow a little bit more. So I would, go the short-term route and say, yeah, we want to like make sure that, one, we have suppliers in these different regions that can actually provide the like materials that we would need to get these set up. Maybe that we've got the like correct, like ecology for the sun and everything that's coming in. And also just that like, this is a market that is going to be interested in this. And so they're going to give maybe like tax incentives, or there's going to be like, political influence that you can have. You can get really creative with these. I think that's like something BCG is looking for. And the more you like rep these out and try to like push yourself to think about those interesting corner cases that maybe, your candidate A, candidate B is not going to think about. And this is going to kind of put you up in the interviewer's mind. I think that's awesome. And then like long-term, you could go, I really like the net positive aspect. Like there could be, downsides to putting a bunch of solar farms all over land that's been, operating in an ecosystem for a long time. So I really like those ideas. If you structure it a little bit, I think one, it'll let the ideas flow a little bit more, and you'll feel a little bit more comfortable once you work on that skill a little bit. But I think you've got, what you need skill wise to get to that point where you can do that really confidently. Yeah. And once again, I don't envy you for trying to brainstorm in front of people. It's hard enough when it's the two of us on a Zoom call trying to brainstorm, let alone doing it in front of an audience. So,
yeah. As not to say way more people than I thought. There would be like 200. I thought it would be like, I don't know, like maybe 100 at best. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Well, you did great. You gave him an awesome performance. I also thought your recommendation was really good. The only thing I might say there is at the very end, I typically try to like sell more work or sell something else. And so you talked about that net result. I was really hoping you'd do like, let's do a ecological study of, what the impact this is. Yeah, I would have loved that. I probably would have like got out of my chair if you had done that. It would have been great. But yeah, I thought your recommendation was really good. It's nice to, you did a good job. Definitely like tie your next steps to your risk in a way like that and say, let's do an ecological study. Would love to help out with that and, make sure this is a successful project for Solar City. And that's the exclamation point on the end that wraps that up. So you just feel like you're, that's the answer. That's it. And we're done here.
Yeah. I was thinking about that, but I sort of didn't get and I don't know if this is how it is in interviews, but I didn't get like acknowledgement or like a positive response from you when I said that in the interview. Like you sort of had a poker face on. So I wasn't sure if that was really a good idea or not, but I was really thinking of that as I was writing down that this seems like a really good next step type of thing to say. But then I thought maybe I just said something not good and maybe I shouldn't mention it in the recommendation.
Honestly, man, I thought it was really great. I'm over here trying to take notes and trying to like make sure I'm not losing anything you're saying. So there are going to be, I had two interviewers during my big interviews, and they were complete opposites in the way they handled the interview. So I tend to lean a little bit more towards the not giving much feedback and just putting you in kind of a tough situation so that's, how you learn how to case, because that's about as rough of an environment as there's going to be. most of the time the partners, MVPs, whoever's doing this work is pretty proficient in giving cases and stuff. So sometimes they're really, really stone cold about it, and sometimes they're a little bit more communicative. So it really just depends.
Confidence is key, then, you would say, right?
Yeah. Even if you don't feel like you're getting anything back, it's just one of those where you got to push through, show that you're confident, and that you are also willing to like work through things with the interviewer. I think that's something you did well. You made a good point of like, especially on the clarifying questions. This is a difficult industry to understand. The fee structure is very, very different than what you get in a normal case. While this is just a break even case at the end of the day, like I've noticed that a lot of the cases I saw in the actual interviews or stuff with firm representatives were a little bit more difficult conceptually than I would have expected.
Okay. Yeah, definitely agree with you about the industry. It was a curveball for sure. So but still appreciate you your time and doing the case. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Great job.
Thank you.
Strategy Simplified, thank you for tuning in to this BCG case. If you're prepping for a BCG, McKinsey, Bain, whatever case, we'd love to help. Work with our team in Black Belt. We have a team of about 25 former MVB coaches. We'd love to walk alongside you in your journey through one-on-one coaching, through resume edits, networking strategies, and more. Link in the show notes to learn more. All right, we'll see you later.